All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump straight into it. So this is going to end up being my E3 of 2025. I've made these videos for a few years now and just titled differently. E3 doesn't exist anymore, but we still kind of have it because we had like the Summer Games Show, State of Play and all of that stuff. So what I'm going to be doing in today's video is kind of just giving you guys the highlights of the games that I was interested in. Yes, I already had individual reaction videos to most of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today, but now that there's been a couple extra days of sitting with it, I can kind of give my opinions towards it, as well as sharing a little bit of new information. So Sony's State of Play was surprisingly good. Not only did we get to see a little bit of gameplay of Silent Hill F, which sounds stupendous, like the actual sound design is fantastic. If I'm being perfectly honest, the gameplay itself doesn't really look super exciting, but it's Silent Hill, so of course I'm sold. It also has a release date of this year. Sword of the Sea, which is a game that I've been keeping tabs on for a while now, finally got a release date as well. It's basically the Abzu Journey developers, so it's gonna be an art video game. And I think one of the biggest reveals for a lot of people was Nioh 3, which actually ended up having a demo on PlayStation the same day that I finally got around to playing with one of my buddies. And yeah, this game is good. Normally, I don't really like the Nioh games, but I guess with my 40 plus hours in Rise of the Ronin, I started to kind of get the hang of the combat system that the developers made for both Rise of the Ronin and Nioh, because Rise of the Ronin is just basically open world single player Nioh. Suffice to say, Nioh 3 is kind of like an open zone area, not necessarily open world, but you'll be thrown into an area where you can kind of just explore anywhere that you want at your leisure. The combat is still convoluted as all hell and wildly complicated, but generally speaking, yeah, this was a good time, and I'll probably pick the full game up in 2026. Then we also had Thief VR, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a completely dead franchise. I only recently started playing the retro old games of Thief, and my god, they still hold up today. Thief VR just kind of looks like, I don't know, it kind of just looks like the generic console VR slop, but we'll see what happens with it. At the very least, I didn't even recognize that we actually had the voice actor from the other Thief games right at the end of the Thief VR trailer. And thankfully, even though this was shown at a State of Play, Thief VR is going to be on PC. So then right after that, we had the Summer Game Fest, which actually had a surprising amount of bangers. End of Abyss, in my opinion, is basically Little Nightmares meets a Souls-like, and it looks stupendous. I cannot wait for this one. Something I didn't notice in the trailers because I was just too hyped to notice is they've got this kind of mechanic where the enemies split off when you shoot them. It looks really interesting. And then there's this ARA game called ILL, that is kind of under the radar and a lot of people are really hyped about it, but a lot of us are also very skeptical. They recently released a gameplay trailer, which seems doctored as hell and is kind of giving me Day Before vibes, where I feel this game is almost too good to be true. Still, I'll hold my reservations for when the game actually ends up coming out. Maybe it'll end up being exactly as advertised, but as far as I'm concerned, it seems that there's still a little bit of smoke and mirrors around this one. Lego Voyagers seems like an interesting concept. It's basically Take-Two, but Lego characters, so maybe it'll be a little bit more interesting. I don't know, I might play it. Sonic Racing CrossWorlds also is doing exactly what I wish Nintendo was doing with Mario Kart. I wish Mario Kart was like Smash Bros. And just had all of Nintendo's IPs and a bunch of collabs and stuff. Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is doing exactly that with like Minecraft Steve and Hatsune Miku and a bunch of other characters. That's one way to stand out against Mario Kart. As to whether or not it's gonna be better than Mario Kart like a lot of people are saying, I don't know. The Sonic Racing games don't really have that much depth in terms of their skill ceiling, in my opinion. They're just fun games. But the big reveal at Summer Games Fest obviously was Resident Evil 9. I am 100% sold on this, and I don't care what they do. Apparently IGN had a video or an interview, I don't know, I didn't watch it because I don't care to watch it, basically saying that they played the game both in third and first person, so maybe Capcom is just giving us the option in this new game. I also saw a bunch of nobodies tweeting that, oh, you'll get to play as Leon in this game, and for some reason these game journalists just kind of ran with that and acted like, oh yeah, you'll get to play as Leon in Resident Evil 9, and it's like, no you won't. Then there was a Future Game show, and my god, this was probably one of the worst showcases we've ever had. There wasn't really anything worthwhile, and the showcase was glitchy as hell, skipping very, very often. But there was one game that I wish I saw at the Future Game Show live that would have completely saved everything. Unfortunately, it seems like this trailer was shown as the game show was glitching out, so I only saw it afterwards uploaded on their YouTube channel separately, which was the System Shock 2 Remaster multiplayer trailer. The reason why this is so huge is because System Shock 2 is some game from the Jurassic period, but it's so influential on like what we call modern first-person shooters and most of all modern first-person RPGs. It's a game that's been on my bucket list for a very, very long time, but when they ended up announcing the remaster, I decided to just wait for that. As far as my limited understanding of the game's history, multiplayer was cut content in the original game, which means that Night Dive has like completely restored that aspect of the game and is releasing it with the remaster. I just wish that some of my friends were interested in actually playing this game with me. Because the crazy thing is it also has like cross-play, which is nuts. Then there was the Xbox showcase, which teased Silksong coming out this year. I don't know, apparently some official people working on Silksong said, oh yeah, it's coming out this year before the holiday, and I don't know, I'll believe it when I see it. On one hand, their marketing department is just absolutely terrible, but I think it's also because Silksong's one of those games that's just so highly anticipated for an indie game. I don't think anyone needs to have marketing. They also showed Meatboy 3D, which was a pretty big surprise, honestly. I don't know if I'm gonna play it because it's a rage game and the 3D perspective I feel is just not gonna work as well, but it still looks fun. Gamefreak, the developers of Pokemon, are making their own Souls-like game. I don't even remember the title of it, and honestly it looked like crap, but whatever, cool that Gamefreak is stepping out of their comfort zone. Bigger announcement was Grounded 2. I don't think we had a release date for it, but my god, you can bet your butt I'm gonna play that one. I just hope that I have the time to play it because, you know, baby Leon. And more importantly, I hope that my homies have the time because Grounded 1 was so fun playing through it with my friends. We also got a bit of a new trailer for Crono the Dawn. Is that what it's called? Either way, this is by Blooper Studio. So the devs that made the Silent Hill 2 remake are basically making their own like horror game, and it looks pretty cool. It looks highly inspired by Dead Space, obviously, but I'm interested in it. So I wanted to add a little clip here because the same studio that made the Silent Hill remake is also making Crono the New Dawn, and they also just announced that they're remaking Silent Hill 1. I saw a lot of people commenting saying that they kind of have to remake Silent Hill 1 if they ever planned on remaking Silent Hill 3, because apparently Silent Hill 1 sets up the story for 3. They also showed this weird random Korean game called Mudang Two Hearts. I don't really know much about it, but the trailer was pretty fire. I don't know if the game is going to be any good. Then we ended up having the PC showcase, which kind of coincided with a lot of the Steam Next Fest games. So there's a lot of demos to the games that they showed at the showcase, and I was able to play a few of them. I think the main highlight out of this showcase for me was Farever, just because this game looks pretty dang good. A co-op action RPG, yes, please sign me up. They also teased 007 First Light, again, which is the Hitman studio that, yeah, they basically never show gameplay no matter how many times they advertise 007 First Light, which tells me that the game is still far from complete. We should also talk about the Witcher 4 tech demo, because a lot of people seem to be pretty confused and think that this is gameplay or in any way, shape, or form representative of the final product. So you guys remember a couple years back when we had the Unreal Engine 5 tech demo showcasing this? It wasn't a game and nothing ever came of it. It was just designed to look like a game so that it could showcase what the engine was capable of. This is literally what the Witcher 4 Unreal Engine tech demo is. It's not a game. It's just showcasing what the engine can do. But instead of whatever this was, they decided to make their showcase thematically Witcher. And then I don't know whether or not we're going to end up getting a Nintendo June Direct. We always do every year, but Nintendo's very busy with the Nintendo Switch 2 launch, so they might be skipping it this year. They did end up releasing a trailer showcasing a Splatoon Spinoff, which is exclusive to the Switch 2. It kind of looks like a weird survival type game. So then we ended up having a Donkey Kong Direct, which has me thinking that we're not going to end up getting the usual June Direct. Suffice to say, Donkey Kong Bananza looks spectacular. This is like my dream game of destroying the entire world. I'm really, really looking forward to Donkey Kong, man. But some of you that have been with the channel for a while might be a bit confused why am I actually like watching these trailers lately? Because usually when it's a game that I'm excited about, I kind of just go completely dark on it because I don't want anything spoiled. I don't know what changed with me recently. Maybe it's just got to do with me having my son or something. And, you know, lots of big changes are happening in my personal life to the point where it's like, yeah, I'll just watch the media, I'll get hyped about it, and it's not going to end up taking anything away from the enjoyment of experiencing it myself.